Hi, everyone. My name is Ned. I am happy to be your instructor in this course. I have been employed in business and finance for several years now, working with some of the largest firms in the world. I enjoy teaching, and my Excel and finance courses have helped over 500,000 people throughout the world. I would love to share my expertise with you.
In our first lesson, I'll introduce you to the structure of Excel sheets. We will learn more about each of the elements that you see on the screen. The top part of the Excel screen is called the ribbon. It is the strip of buttons and icons located above the work area. The ribbon has a number of tabs, such as Home, Insert, Page Layout, etc. Each tab contains relevant commands depending on the type of action that you would like to carry out. Below the ribbon, we have the workspace area. As you can see, Excel sheets are composed of multiple cells and contain many rows and columns. The letters from A to Z are used in order to make the various columns. The first one is A, while the second one is B, and so on. An Excel sheet contains 16,384 columns. That's a lot, right? We have a very similar thing with rows. Every row is identified by a number. We have 1, 2, 3, going all the way down to 1,048,576. To sum up, 16,384 columns and 1,048,576 rows. I'm sure you understand how powerful the program is by this point. And this is just one sheet. We can add as many sheets as we like by using the plus button. We can work contemporaneously on multiple sheets too. I'll show you how it's done a little later. So, in order to add a new sheet, we can use the plus button. What if we want to delete a sheet? If that's the case, I can click on it with the right mouse button and select Delete Sheet. It is very easy to trace cells in Excel, thanks to the way sheets are organized. Every cell's coordinates are given by the letter and number corresponding to the column and row where it lies. So for example, the first letter in the worksheet is A1, given that it lies at the intersection of column A and row number 1. The only part of Excel's layouts that we haven't yet discussed are these two bars right here. This is the name box, and this here is the formula bar. The name box shows the name of the active cell where we are at. For example, I can select a different cell, and its coordinates will be displayed in the name box. See what I mean? The formula bar allows us to edit or enter information, numbers, text, formulas, within a given cell. It allows us to visualize the formulas or the content of a cell. The formula bar is really useful when we start typing Excel functions too. Once you start typing, it displays suggestions of functions that you might be looking for. We will start learning more about Excel functions later on in the course. But for now, this will do. In this video, I'll show you how to enter, edit, and delete text and numbers in an Excel spreadsheet. Whenever you want to modify the content of a cell, you first have to select it. You will know that you have selected a cell thanks to the borders that the cell will have once it is selected. In addition to that, the respective row and column of the cell will be highlighted as you can see here. I've selected D4 and column D and the fourth row are highlighted. It is quite easy to enter content in a selected cell. You should simply start writing. For example, I'll type the days of the week. We will have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. In order to tell Excel to accept the value that we have written, we can hit Enter, one of the arrow keys, or Tab. The difference is that if you hit Enter when entering the data, the next cell that you will be at is the one below, while Tab will instead move you to the right. We have the same thing with numbers. Next to each of the days of the week, I'll type the numbers from 1 to 7. You can see that Excel aligns text to the left and numbers to the right. This allows us to understand how Excel reads the data that we've entered. Let's type another number below our column. For example, 8. It is quite possible that sometimes when you start modifying a cell, you will change your mind about doing it. By pressing the Escape key, the modification that you made would not be carried out. As you can see, I typed 8, but then pressed the Escape key, and the cell remains blank. None of the changes that I performed during edit mode are performed. We can use the F2 key when we need to edit the content of a cell. It activates the formula bar, and we can start writing. We can change the content of the cell and then click Enter. If you want to delete the content of a cell, then you have two options. Use the Delete button on the keyboard or the Clear command in the Home tab. The difference between the two is that Delete leaves any previous formatting that you had, while Clear is able to remove the entire content of the cell. This is how you enter, edit, and delete data in Excel. There are many different options that will allow you to format the cells of your workbooks. You can find them either in the Home tab of the ribbon or through a right-click and selecting Format Cells. As you can see, you can change the font and font size of the selected cells from this part of the Home tab. Let's say that I would like to select multiple cells and change their font to Arial. I will select the cells first and then change their font from the box containing all fonts that are available in Excel. I'll also change the font size of these cells. Let's change it to 12. See? Pretty easy to do, right? We can use these buttons in order to put emphasis on text and numbers. For example, I'll click on this button and the selected cells will be put in bold. I'll click it again and the bold effect is removed. We have the same thing with italic and underline buttons. It is very easy to create borders for the cells that we have selected. I will click on the Borders button and select the type of border that I would like to apply. I think I'll select the All Borders option. And voila! We have our borders. Similarly, we can add all other types of borders. We just have to select which type of border we want. In case we want additional options, we can click on More Borders or open the Format Cells menu. We will be able to find additional options under the Border tab. We can select a border's thickness and color. For example, I will select a thicker border with a dark blue color and apply it to the outer borders of the selected cells. Here's the end result. If we want to change the fill of the cells that we've selected, we can do it from here. I'll color the selected cells in gray. In a very similar way, we can change the font color of the content within the cell by using the button on the right. Let's change the font color to white. Here it is. Let's provide a practical example. We have the following table, which contains 3 fields: name, company, and telephone number. As you can see, the table does not look very good right now. We need to use Excel's formatting options in order to improve its appearance. First off, I'll select the cells of the first column and align all of them to the left. We can use the Align Left button in order to do that. Then I'll do the same thing with the cells from the second column. Let's select them and click Align Left. Very well. The third column is aligned to the left. Given that these are telephone numbers, I would like to have them on the right. I'll select the cells and click on Align Right. Do you notice that the data in the top row does not seem aligned? The first and third columns are somewhat below the second one. Let's select the cells of the top row of the table and align them to the top. That's better. Now let's add a few extra formatting details to the table. Let's change the fill of all cells to white. I'll select the cells and use the Fill Color button in order to change their fill. Here it is. Now we need to emphasize that the top row is the title row of the table. I will change its font color to dark blue, and we'll put it in bold. That's better. The final detail, which will complete the table, will be to add a border below the title row. Let's open Format Cells and select the Border tab. Here we can choose the thickness of our border, its color, and exactly where to place it. I will use a dark blue color, given that the text is in dark blue. And here is our end result. Not bad for a start, right? These commands allow us to organize our data very neatly and efficiently. It was a pleasure showing you some of the formatting options in Excel. Don't go yet. We have lots of work ahead of us. We already saw that every Excel spreadsheet is made of multiple rows and columns. Now is the right time to learn some operations that will allow us to modify rows and columns in Excel files. First off, when we need to select a row or a column, we need to click on it in the following way. The exact same thing is valid for rows. Alternatively, we can use keyboard shortcuts, Control and Spacebar for selecting a column, and Shift and Spacebar for selecting a row. Shortcuts allow us to work much faster. Now that we have selected a row or a column, there are several things we can do with it. We can select its size by dragging its border. We can insert a column on its left by using the right mouse button and then clicking on Insert. Finally, we can delete the respective column through a right-click and the Delete button. If you need to set a column or a row's size to a precise number, you can use the Column and Row Width commands. By right-clicking on a selected column, I can find the Column Width command. Here it is. Then we need to select the column size. The same thing applies for rows. These are the operations that you will need to know when working with rows and columns. One of the strongest features of Microsoft Excel is that it allows users to calculate numerical information using formulas. Just like a calculator, Excel can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Naturally, it can do a lot more than a calculator. In this lesson, we will learn how to create Excel formulas. It's a pretty straightforward task. We have to select the cell where we would like to create a formula. In this case, it will be D9. We already know how to activate the Edit Cell mode. we have to click F2. Every time when I want to start a formula, I have to use the equals or plus sign. There isn't any difference between the two of them. I'm accustomed to typing equal. Now Excel knows that we have started writing a formula. There are two main ways to include numbers in a formula. The first one is to type them directly here in the formula bar. For example, 7 plus 9. Excel then calculates the result of the formula, which is 16. The other way to include arguments in a formula is to use references within the sheet. As in this case, I have the two numbers 7 and 9 in the two cells above D7 and D8. We need a way that will allow us to point at these cells. When you are in edit mode, you can use the arrow keys or the mouse in order to select cells within the spreadsheet. Then, once you have selected a cell that you need, you can use the plus operator, which will allow me to select the next part of the formula. In this case, it is the cell D8. The big advantage of using cell references is that other users will be able to understand the reasoning behind your operations. You can always combine hard input in the form of numbers with cell references. There is no problem doing that. The typical math operators that you will need in Excel are the usual ones: plus for addition, minus for subtraction, star for multiplication, / for division, caret for degree elevation. Not forgetting parentheses in order to denote a modification to the usual order of operations. This is it for now. Next, we will cover a very interesting tool that can be added in Excel formulas: functions. If you want to be efficient and become a strong Excel user, you have to learn how to use Excel's functions. This course contains a whole chapter dedicated to functions, both basic and advanced. In this video, we will lay out the foundation which will facilitate our future work. Let's see how to insert a function in one of the cells of this sheet. First of all, we have to select the cell where we want to insert the function. And then there are a few different ways in which we can add the desired function. For example, we can type equal, and then type directly the function's name if we happen to know it. If that's not the case, we can search for the function that we need by clicking on this button here. The window that opened contained all Excel functions divided into categories. The purpose of each function is described at the bottom of the window. We can either search for a specific keyword or scroll down and find the function that we need manually. I will be looking for the if function. OK, here it is. Let's select it. Once we have found the function, we can double-click on it and a new window pops up. This is where we need to type the function's arguments. We can click on each of them and read the description that is provided just below. Then we have to select the arguments of the function. Typically, these are references to other cells within the spreadsheet. In our example, the if function has 3 arguments. The first one is the logical test, which is the condition that we want to verify. The second one is the value that will be displayed if the result of the logical test is positive. That is, if the criterion is satisfied. And the third argument of the if function is the value that will be displayed if the result of the logical test is negative. Let's provide an example. I want the function to test whether the value in C9 is bigger than the value in D9. This is the first argument, the logical test. Let's type in the second argument, which is the value that will be displayed if the C9 is bigger than D9. I want to obtain bigger if that's the case. Then, as a third argument, I will select the value to be displayed if the result of the logical test is negative. In this case, we will have smaller. Finally, after we have selected the arguments of the function, we can press Enter and obtain the end result. Let's see the result of the function. Given that C9 is not bigger than D9, our formula displays smaller, which is correct. To be honest with you, experienced users rarely open the dialog box menu like we did. Much more frequently, they type a function's name directly in the formula bar and work directly from there. I'm sure that after completing this course, you will be doing that too. Copy and paste are among the most frequently used commands in Excel. Whenever you want to copy the content of a cell, you need to select it and either press Ctrl+C, the shortcut for copying, or right-click and select Copy. All experienced users use the Ctrl+C shortcut because it is much faster to perform. I suggest that you do the same thing. Here, you can see how Excel shows us that we have copied the cell through these marching ends. That's very good, as at all times we will know what we have copied. We can copy as many cells as we would like. And then, after we have copied the cells, we need to select a cell where we would like to paste them. We can use Ctrl+V or right-click on the cell and select Paste. Even if we have copied multiple cells, we don't need to select multiple cells while pasting. We have to select the top left cell where we would like to paste. As you can see, all copied cells were pasted. If we use the Cut command instead of Copy, the entire content of the cells that we chose to cut will be moved across the sheet. I will press Ctrl+X. An alternative way of doing this was to press right-click and select Cut, and the marching ends will indicate the cells that we are about to cut. When we paste them in their new location, they will subsequently disappear from their previous location on the sheet. Very intuitive, right? This was our introduction to the Copy, Paste, and Cut commands. We will have the chance to apply them a number of times throughout the course, and by the end of the course, you will be able to use them with your eyes closed.
There are many ways in which we can format the cells in an Excel spreadsheet. Here's an example. In each of these cells, we have typed the number 1000. But the formatting is somewhat different, isn't it? Every cell wears its own makeup, so to say. In the first case, we have the most vanilla version one can imagine. Then, we have different types of formatting based on what you want to see. We can have 1 or 2 decimal places, a currency type formatting, a percentage type formatting. We can even have the number 1000 in red if it was negative, and we wanted to emphasize that. So that's great. Excel allows us to format the cells in our spreadsheets differently, and we can make the information stored in these cells clearer by applying such formatting. Let's learn the mechanics of cell formatting and emphasize why one needs to be careful with the format of the cells she's working with. First off, there are 2 ways to see the current formatting settings that have been applied. We can either take a look at this part of the Home tab right here, or alternatively, right-click on a cell and select Format Cells, where we would have more options available. It can be pretty handy to check which type of format has been applied to a cell from the Home tab. This is also necessary if you are working on, let's say, a formula, which displays an error. In such a case, it would be worth it to check the formatting of some of the cells that are included in the formula as arguments. If the formula expects you to provide numerical input, then the cells you have provided need to have a number formatting. The same is valid for text and other types of cell formatting we can have. As you can see, working from the Home tab is rather straightforward. All we need to do is to literally press a button, and we can adjust a cell's formatting. For example, if I wanted to adjust the format of the selected cell to number formatting with 3 decimal places, I could simply select Number Formatting and use these buttons to specify the number of decimal places we want to have. But to be able to carry out the full spectrum of operations Excel offers us, we'll need to use the Format Cells menu. A faster way to access Format Cells is by using the Ctrl+1 shortcut. In the dialog box that opens up, we need to select the Format category to be applied. As earlier, I'll opt for Number Formatting with 3 decimal places. In addition, we can add a thousands separator to make larger numbers easier to read, as well as select whether to display positive and negative numbers in a black or red color. Please note that Excel shows a sample of how the format we've chosen to apply would look like once we press OK. Undoubtedly, Format Cells is richer in terms of functionalities compared to the options we find under the Home tab. Let's take a look at a few different types of formatting that can be applied in Format Cells. If the numbers we're working with are financial figures, we could apply currency formatting. After I click on the currency category, I should be able to select a specific currency, as well as how it should be displayed. Excellent! Besides regular numbers and currencies, we can have many different types of data in Excel. For example, cells containing dates. Let's select the cell where we have 31st of December, 2020. In this situation, we'll likely opt for date formatting, which tells Excel that the content is to be read as date and not text. Why is it important to specify whether certain cells contain numbers or dates? Well, numbers follow the order of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have 30, 31, 32, 33, and so on. Dates do not. By setting a certain type of formatting for our cells, we make Excel's work easier when it comes to understanding the type of information included in each cell. Please be careful. Sometimes Excel won't recognize your dates properly and will show a different date than the one intended. In such cases, you will need to do a few formatting tricks. You might have to add a few elements to the date format so that it becomes readable by Excel. Later on in the course, I will show you how to do this in one of our case studies. And also, please stay tuned, as in one of the lessons of the next section of the course, I'll teach you how to create and work with custom cell formats.
Now that we learned how to use copy and paste, it is the right time to present to you an important paste optionality, Paste Special. In order to use Paste Special, we need to copy one or multiple cells, and then open the Paste Special dialog box. We can open it from the Home tab, clicking on the little arrow below the regular Paste button, or, much easier, by pressing Alt, E, and S. Once we open the Paste Special dialog box, we can choose from a number of pasting options. For example, we can choose to paste only the formulas of the copied cells. Let's do this. Excel pastes only the formulas of the cells without any numbers. Alternatively, we can paste only the values of the copied cells. See? Only numbers. We don't have any formulas anymore. Paste Special allows you to choose from several different options. Later on in the course, we will continue to practice with Paste Special. This will do for now. Thanks for watching.